Yo, Jermaine,
What?
Jamie, innit?
Shut up.
You shut up. Stop being rude. Respect your
But
elders.
Aaron, you thought I was asking about Timmy, but what did you know what position he plays when you faced him in the match?
Yeah, he plays in midfield.
Um,
I literally just said that.
and
Stop
what are you?
behaving like Ungabo Tiger.
And what are you?
I'm a thing, wing, right wing, left wing. Can do both.
Uh,
It just depends on how I play.
okay.
Ungabo Tiger.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to this NRL PlayStation Tier 2 stream. Today we are racing around Brazil for round 13, the final round of the championship, and we're doing a full quali for the last race of the season, as we have 18 drivers here today, which is a very good amount of drivers, and already the Alfa Romeo of Jetsi topping the timing sheets with a 108.2 for Alfa Romeo. But it's going to be interesting to see who can get out of Q1. Harry making his return to Tier 2 today for the final race, as Prince goes fastest with a 179. He might have lost the championship last week, but it's not affecting his spirits, as Nizwan also back in after missing a couple of races. And yeah, everyone else is pretty much a regular. Burglar is a tier 1 driver who's dropped down for the tier 2 race tonight as it's the finale, but he should be ready to go tomorrow as well, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season ends off here in the finale. Of course, the Constructors' Championship is still up for grabs between Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, but at the moment Alfa Romeo have a huge advantage over AlphaTauris, so they're going to need a very good final round if they want to do anything, especially with the pace of the Alfa Romeos, as we ride on board with Jetsy here, who's on a hot lap once again for Alfa Romeo. We saw him go purple through sector 1, a couple of hundreds up on his previous first sector time. Let's see how his second sector is. It's going to be a 51.3, so he's 3/10 up, so this should be good enough for provisional pole position. But looks like he ran a bit wide out of the final corner. Hopefully he hasn't lost too much lap time and can still finish off this lap strongly as he comes to the line. It's going to be a 1:79.17, and he takes provisional pole by a couple of hundreds to Prince Clonte. But of course, 3 qualifying sessions, so for those of you not familiar with the rules of F1, they have 3 qualifying sessions. The bottom 5 it would normally would be knocked out in the first qualifying session, but because we only have 18 drivers, it should be the bottom 3, which currently at the moment is Danilo, Lee Casper, who's on a lap, and Ken, as Casper's had an awful turn 1, 2, 3, so he could face some difficulties unless he puts on the softs, of course. So the bottom 3 will get knocked out in Q1, and then the next 5 from 11th to 15th will get knocked out in Q2, and then the top 10 after that will have a final qualifying shootout to decide who takes pole position. But at the moment it's Jetsy on provisional pole, followed by Prince, Jayville, and Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder is out of the session, and that is big. That is big for the Alfa Romeo driver, who is the Tier 2 Drivers' Champion. He won it last week, but he's out here in qualifying 1. So that could be the end of his qualifying. Surely he'll drop down the order, and he's going to start this race from last, unless anyone else faces a DNF or gets themselves disqualified for the session, which I don't think should happen. Harry's on a lap here for Aston Martin. Let's see where he can put his green car. He goes P5 with a 1:08.3, so the lap times are quite a bit slower than what you expect for pole from Tier 2, but of course the grip is reduced in qualifying 1 and qualifying 2, so it's all about getting a good clean lap on the boards in the first session. But at the moment, Bergler has actually gone on to provisional pole with a 1:07.6, which I completely missed, but it's fastest lap time so far. And Harry, of course, we saw going to P5. So Bergler is currently on top here in Tier 1, but anyone can still beat this lap time. You still have Dirk, Danilo, and Ken to set lap times, and they are 3 of the quickest drivers in this tier. Zwan is also on the outlap. He's already taken 2 pole positions this season, and Money the Cheeks also on the outlap. Very fast driver, of course. But Conan Klon at the moment did a decent first sector time, and Elite Casper's now out of this session, a 1:10.4 to his name, and he crashed on the exit of turn 4, so that's the end of his session, and he will start behind Dan Snyder. So I presume if everyone below them sets a lap time, they will start 17th and 18th respectively, which is quite unfortunate for them. But rounding back on board with Conan Klon, he's down on his second sector time, so he's going to need to find some pace if he wants to make it out of Q1 here, as he currently sits 9th out of the 11 cars who set a lap as he comes to line. Let's see if he finds any time in the final sector. He finds a bit of time, but it's not enough to move himself up. And that is Hezwanis. That's a big crash, and he is out of this session. So Hezwanis, Dan Snyder, and Elite Casper have all DNF'd here in qualifying so far. So I presume those will be the 3 cars knocked out of qualifying. But let's ride on board with Dirk, the Mexican driver. Currently he has a bit of lag going on there. But as he heads down towards turn 4, it's going to be a 16.8 first sector, so not fantastic, but not one of the slowest. We've seen slower this session so far as he heads up the hill into the bank turns of 5, 6 and 7, I believe, and navigating this tricky downhill section. Can he get the car nicely rotated? He does, and gets on the traction very nicely, but he gets a bit of understeer as he heads down the hill. This 51.4 middle sector, but he gets the final corner hooked up nicely as he runs to the line. What's it going to be for Dirk? Can he put himself into the top 5, which would definitely be safe at the moment? I mean, he just needs a lap time, and he does put himself into the top 5, a 108.194 for the Ferrari driver, who now puts himself amongst the top guns at the moment. And Ken will also be doing that if he can finish this lap off nicely. He's currently 4 tenths up, and I expect him to be on provisional pole once he crosses the line, as AJK improves to P4 with 108.1, and it's a 107.36 for Ken. The Finnish driver's been on fire in the past few rounds, and he's showing his class once again. Money the Cheeks went for another lap on his softs, but unfortunately for him, he invalidated. No one else is on a lap at the moment, I don't think. MDO15 might be on one here actually, as he runs down the hill. Let's see what his sector split is. He's a bit down on his second sector, so he's going to need some time if he wants to get safe from being eliminated from this session. But as he runs to the line, what's it going to be for MW15? It's going to be a 2/10 improvement, but he stays P12, so not ideal for the McLaren driver, who unfortunately for him doesn't improve. And this riding ball with Danilo set at 16.8 through the first sector, but unfortunately for him, he's just invalidated on the exit of 6, and he's spun. So that's unfortunate. He's going to have to go again in the AlphaTauri as Ken is back into the pit lane. So is AJUK. Dirk, I presume, will be into the pit lane as well. So the top 6 looks safe right now. I think everyone is safe apart from Money the Cheeks and Danilo. They both just need to get lap times on the board, because Dan Snyder, Lee Casper, and Hezwanis have all DNF, so they're going to be eliminated as long as these 3 can make it. Sorry, as long as these 2 can set a better lap time than them, better than they've done at the moment. But that is Milky Streamer, who's now out of this session, so he becomes the 4th DNFE, and that now makes Dan Snyder safe. So Dan Snyder, I don't know if he will compete in Q2, but he will be safe to make it through Q2, I think. But Danilo could change that. I'm not quite sure how it would work in qualifying 1. I presume it'd take the bottom 3. It might take the bottom 4, but I guess we'll find out as Danilo is coming up to some traffic of an Alpine in front of him. That is Edge UK, I believe. So hopefully Edge UK or VR Josh, whichever one it is, gets out of the way nicely. It is VR Josh, as Edge UK is in the pit lane at the moment. But Danilo is driving a lot safer on this lap time. Just needs to get a lap on the board, and very nearly invalidated at the final corner. But he keeps it within track limits, and he runs up to the line. What's it going to be for the AlphaTauri driver? He's going to do a 1. His VR Josh goes 108.1, and he does a 108.3. So a couple attempts off, but the midfield battle is looking very tasty from P5 to P13. Only about a second separates them, so we could have a very interesting Q2 on our hands. But Danilo's lap time eliminates Zwanis, Elite Casper, eliminates Zwanis and Elite Casper from Q2 contention, as Dirk goes P3 with a 107.8 on 4 lap old soft. So some very nice pace from the Ferrari, showing he still has the pace despite his poor last few rounds. As Jabil's also in a lap here for Mercedes, doesn't improve through the second sector. M-15's on an outlap, and Money the Cheeks is invalidated again, so I don't think he's got the memo. He just needs to set a lap time, otherwise he will be eliminated from Q2. If he just puts a normal lap time on the board, he'll make it through because of the forecast with DNF, but hopefully he recognises before it's too late, as if he doesn't get this lap, he will have one more, I think, if he does a quick enough lap time. But that lap was a 109.4, and we did see him back off, so it looks like he has some decent pace in that Williams at the moment, but just can't convert. M-15 is going for another lap in the McLaren. He's marginally down on his sector 1 time, so not finding the pace at the moment at McLaren. We've seen them near the top, but looks like they're struggling so far here in the Brazilian heat. But there's still not that long, but there's still a lot of corners to navigate. Money the Cheeks looks like he's kept within track limits this time. So far on this lap, there's yellow flags at the final corner. That is for Jabil. He's slowed down. I presume has run out of fuel. His MD15 is about 3 tenths up in purple through sector 2. Money the Cheeks is done a 51.9. I'm not sure how quick that is in comparison, but it looks like MD15 has backed off. He knows he's safe, so he's not going to finish this lap. But Money the Cheeks has to finish this lap, and it should get him safely into Q2, and it does. A 108.5 for the Williams, who moves himself up into P11. So that eliminates Milky Streamer, Elite Casper, and Hezwanis. And we've got a weather report for the race, dry race, but going to start raining about 25 minutes in, so that is going to spice things up here at the end in tier 2. But that is the end for Q1. Actually no, we still got Prems on a lap time for McLaren. He's about 3 tenths up on his lap at the moment, but makes a bit of a mistake out of the final corner. Hopefully he can finish the lap off strongly though. As he comes towards the line, it's going to be a 108.2 for the McLaren. He moves himself up into the top 8 and puts himself in amongst the pack, only about 1/10 separating P6 to P9. So this is going to be a very interesting Q2 battle, as someone has improved. Yeah, MD15 improved actually, did a 108.5 on his second run on the mediums, on the softs. So nice lap time from him, and Money the Cheeks is just cruising around, and he will be the final car to cross the line in this session and end this session. So Hezwanis, unfortunately for him, it's not his not the return he would have wanted, as he's out in Q1. Lee Casper also eliminated, didn't get the chance to see his real pace, as he only set a lap time on the mediums that was a couple tenths off everyone. And then Milky Streamer also eliminated. He did a 109.549, which wouldn't have been good enough for Q2 anyways, but he crashed just to add insult to injury. And then Dan Snyder's 108.750 puts in P15, but he crashed, so I'm not sure if he'll make it into the Q2 session, or if he does, if he'll be allowed to participate. But we'll have to wait and see. Everyone else though, from Ken down to Conan Klon, will be participating in Q2 hopefully, as the session's ending. So we'll see who got cut and who didn't towards, as we now go to the next screen on board with Prems. So Ken fastest with a 107.3 as the benchmark here in Q1, followed by the two Ferraris, and then Jetsy's Alfa Romeo, Prince's P5 for AlphaTauri, followed by the two Alpines of AGR-UK and VR Josh. Prem sits P8 for McLaren. It's P9 for Jabil and Mercedes, P10 for Danilo, P11 for Harry, P12 for MW15, P13 for Mind the Cheeks, and P14 for Conan Cron. And Dan Snyder does get eliminated. So Dan Snyder, Milk Streamer, Elite Casper, and Hazwanis all eliminated in Q1. And the big news is that the Tier 2 champion is out. So he's going to have quite the job coming from the back of the grid to hopefully score a podium for his team, as no points will not be beneficial to them in the constructors battle. As we now head towards qualifying 2, no rain, dry track for Q2. So let's see how it pans out here as we just wait for the drivers to get ready for the second qualifying session, and the lights are green and all the cars can start exiting. So we'll see who's the first to go out on track. Of course, you want to try and go out on track as late as possible, as you will have the optimum track grip, but of course you could get impeded by other cars if you go out too early. So we're gonna have to wait and see who's the first to come out. It looks like it's the McLaren of MW15 who will be the first car to set a lap time. He was the first car to set a lap time in Q1 as well, so it looks like the McLaren's going quite early, and this Q2 session is going to be quite interesting, as the midfield was very tight in Q1. So we'll see who will make it through and who will not. If you're just joining us here, we are doing a full qualifying session. As Burglar, as unfortunately for him, lagged out the session again, so let me just send him an invite. Oh, he's back into the session. So he's on an outlap. So anyways, as I was saying, if you're just joining us here in Q2, we are doing a full qualifying for the final race of the season here. And the big news is that Dan Snyder is out in Q1, along with Elite Casper, Milky Streamer, and Hazwanis, who rounds out the grid. But at the moment, a lot of drivers choosing the medium tyres. So Mind the Cheek's gone for the mediums. Ken has selected it in the pit lane. He's leaving the pit lane now. Conan Cron also gone for the mediums. So is Prems and Jetsy. So we'll see if the gamble will pay off for them. But the first driver to finish their lap will be MW15, who's on the soft compound tyres for McLaren. He does 17.0 first sector, so definitely not the quickest. We've seen drivers in the mid to low 16s through sector 1, so he's not, you see, understeers all the way through turn 6 there. It's not going to be a very fast lap time from the McLaren to start off proceedings here in Q2, but we have 13 other drivers who can pick up the pace, as Jabil nearly ran into someone on his outlap. Mind the Cheeks also will be the first. Oh, MW15's had a bit of a moment on the final corner, so that's definitely not going to help his lap time here, as Mind the Cheeks will be setting the first respectable lap time, as MW15's will be quite a bit off the pace, 11.9 as I said. It's going to be a 108.8 for Mind the Cheeks on the medium compound tyres, so that is a very good lap time for the mediums. But I'm sure we will see some drivers going quicker, as Prems has got a bit of traffic AJUK and might have just distracted him as he had a bit of a moment. But Jetsy runs the line now, does a 108.3 on the medium, so even quicker from the AlphaTauri driver, finding the pace at the moment. Let's see what Harry can do for Aston Martin. Can he put himself ahead of the two medium compound tyre runners? He cannot. He does a 108.5 and slots in between them. Prems will be the next driver to cross the line, also opting for the medium tyres, does a 109.6, so quite a bit off the other drivers on the mediums. AJK does a 122.0, so I presume he had a slowed down lap and is now pushing full out Danilo will cross the line next, does a 1:08.8, so not the greatest lap time from him. Ken goes P1 with 1:08.2 on the mediums. Coney Cron will be the next car to cross the line. He's going to do a 1:49, so it looks like he backed off that lap. MW15 is into the pit lane, and the next car to cross the line will be Jayville for Mercedes. Goes P1 with a 1:79.89 on the soft compound tyres. Very fast lap time from the Mercedes, who is starting to pick up the pace. Wasn't anywhere to be seen in Q1, but it looks like he's found a bit of pace here in the second qualifying session. What can Josh do? He does 21.3, so looks like either a lot of drivers are making mistakes on their first laps, or they're taking 2 laps to bring the tyres into the correct temperature, which is of course a tactic deployed in real life. You don't really see it that often in the game, however, but some drivers may opt to use it as edgy. Cade goes P2 with 1:08.1, so the first cooldown lap has definitely worked out for him. Next across the line will be Danilo again, who goes into P3 with a 1:08.2. Very fast lap time from AlphaTauri. Next will be Coney Cron for Haas F1 team. He goes into P9 with a 1:09.6. So slowest of the medium tyre runners so far. Not ideal for him, but he can still find time. His VR Josh, unfortunately for him, has invalidated on his second lap time here in Q2, so he's going to have to either go again or strap on a new set of tyres, as Dirk's the only driver. Dirk and Prince are the only drivers who haven't come on the pit lane yet, but as I say that, Prince is on an outlap. Bergler has gone for an outlap on the mediums as well, so it'll be interesting to see what the Ferrari driver can do here on his medium combat tyres. Looks like the mediums aren't in awful tyres. Jetsy and Ken have managed to get to P4 and P5 respectively. Money the Cheeks, Prems and Coney Cron P7, 8 and 9. Might have to go again, as Money the Cheeks has had a big moment and has slid across the grass there at the penultimate corner, and the game has reset him to track, and unfortunately that has gotten in the way of Coney Cron's lap, but it looks like Coney Cron has slowed off anyways. But Bergler's on a lap on the medium, so we'll see what he can do as he hits the turn 8, I want to say, apex perfectly, but as he heads down the hill, a bit of a lock-up on the medium combat tyres that will not be helping him in the race. Of course, if you don't know, those who qualify on, well, those that make it into Q2 have to start on the tyre they qualified on in Q2. But Bergler, what is he gonna do? He's gonna do a 1:08.342 on the mediums, so it goes quicker than Jetsy on the mediums, but they're slower than Ken. So the lap from him so far, and Prens is improved by about 3/10, but still not enough to move himself up. So Coney Cron and Prems are still, well, Coney Cron, Money the Sheiks and Prems are all very at risk of getting knocked out here, as Prince is purple through sector 2. So could he be knocking his Dutch compatriot Coney Cron out here, and force him to rethink the medium tyre strategy as he comes to the line? What's it going to be for Prince Cronte? It's going to be a 1:77.63 provisional pole position here in Q2. So the runner-up of this Tier 2 championship is showing his pace, as don't rule out Dirk, of course, third in the championship, in the drivers championship as well, so maybe he can pull off a bit of a surprise here as he comes towards the end of sector 2. Is he going to be purple? Yes, he is. 51.1 through the first sector, but as he exits the final corner, let's see if he can keep up this pace. Running to the line now for Ferrari. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 1:07.731, so beats off Prince by a couple of hundredths and goes into provisional pole, but that has knocked out Money to Cheeks, Prems and Coney Cron now on mediums, and Jetsy Jetsy and Burglar and Ken, will any of these guys be safe on the mediums? As Burglar tried to go for another lap, but unfortunately for him, just invalidated. So these guys on the mediums, there's only about a 4/10 gap. Oh, Ranger Cheeks having a bit of a moment with the wall there. But there's only about a 4/10 gap to the guys behind. It looks like Ranger Cheeks has crashed on the pit lane exit, which is rather unfortunate for him, as he's now lost all his wing and has to go a whole lap without his wing, so that's not going to be great before he can even come back into the pit lane. Luckily this isn't like career mode where you have to wait for the damages to be fixed, but VR Josh is purple through sector 1, so let's keep an eye on this lap, as well as Harry, who's also on a lap for Aston Martin, currently on the danger bubble in P10, in danger of being knocked out, but it looks like it's a good lap so far, as he's purple through sector 2 with a 51.4. VR Josh is soon coming to the second sector split, as VR Josh, his sector 2 split going to be? It's going to be a 51.1, so a bit up on the Aston Martin, as Harry improves to P4 for Aston Martin, moves Jetsy down another position, and Burglar and Ken. Let's see what VR Josh can do up to the line. He was a few times quicker than Harry, so he should be in front, and he is in front. A 1:07.9 improves to P3. So now Jetsy, Burglar and Ken are all on the bubble of Q2 and Q3, so I presume all of them will opt for the soft compound tyres now, as they don't want to be at fear of being knocked out. However, they probably will go out right at the end, and if they are still safe by the end of the session, which I doubt they will be, but if they are, then they can just back off their lap times and come back into the pit lane anyways. But Conan Crunt now is running to the line. He was about 4/10 up through the middle sector. Unfortunately that will not be enough for Q2. He improves to 1:09.2, so he's going to need to go again in the Haas there, as that is not quick enough to get himself up into the top 10 shootout. But looks like everyone is in the pit lane at the moment, apart from Prems and Conan Cron. And Conan Cron just set that lap time, but can Prems do anything better here, as he's a couple of tenths up himself through sector 1, as he now runs down the hill. What's it going to be? It's going to be 7 tenths up for Prems. That will at the moment not be enough for Q3, so he's going to need to improve more if he wants to find himself in the top 10 shootout. And he goes into P9 with a 1:08.2, so he finds a bit of time through the second sector, and that's not Jetsy on mediums out. So now Jetsy selected the softs, he's going to go for it, but Prems is by no means safe. A 1:08.2 I don't think is a safe lap time in this session. I think you need a 1:08.1 at the minimum to be safe from being knocked out in this session, as Jabil's on another lap here for Mercedes, taking a lot of curve and somehow not invalidating, but he gets a big moment on the exit, and I presume that's lost him all his lap time, so he's backed off here for Mercedes, and he's just squirted the throttle and nearly put himself into the wall there. Luckily he kept himself out of the wall, but he's going to have to go again here for Mercedes. I mean, 1:07.9 should keep him safe. He shouldn't be at risk of dropping out. The top 3 are not going out again. They think they're safe. Jayville now feels the same, as he now comes into the pit lane. So everyone in the pit lane at the moment, looks like Harry and EduK, they either don't have the tyres or they're going to try risk getting in. I mean, a 1:08.0 for Harry should be safe. 1:08.1 for EduK will be right on the bubble, but it should be good enough, as Danilo has a massive moment through the center S's. Hopefully he hasn't lost too much time, as a 1:08.2 he's going to need to improve on that if he wants to find himself in the Q2 shootout. Of course, let's keep eyes on Minda Cheeks, who's actually invalidating. Conan Cron's coming to the pit lane, so that's his qualifying over. He will start P14 in this race, but Burgers on an outlap as Ken has gone out very, very late, and he's not going to make the line here. And Jetsy's made a mistake. Jetsy has invalidated, so that means Jetsy is out of qualifying here, and Alfa Romeo will feature no cars in Q3. No cars will feature in Q3 for Alfa Romeo. Jetsy starts P11 and Dan Snyder starts P18. Danilo taking a very interesting line through the final few corners. I think he's going for it again, as that is definitely not the quickest way around those final few corners. Prem sets a purple sector 1 to move himself up into P7 with the 108.1. So Jetsy is eliminated, so is MDO15 and Kona Kron. Can Ken make it? He just about makes it to the line, so Ken will have to try and not make any mistakes on this lap. It's all or nothing. Money to Cheeks is about 4 tenths up. He's going to need to find a bit of time here in the final sector to qualify for Q2. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 1:08.3, so he's right on the bubble in P10. Unfortunately for Berger, he's invalidated, so he's also knocked out in Q2. Jetsy has managed to get to the line again, so he has a second chance. He has a second chance of making it into Q2. Danilo's invalidated on his second lap. Prems is safe, so it's all down to Money to Cheeks. Sorry, not Money to Cheeks. Ken and Jetsy to see what they can do. And Jetsy, no, sorry, not Jetsy. Ken has gone off the track. He knows he's safe, so Ken is going to have the strategical advantage starting on the medium compound tyres in this race. Jetsy cannot afford the same luxury. He has to set a lap time to make it into Q2. Can he knock Money the Cheeks out of his Q2 spot? Yes, he can. He goes pole position with 1:76. So Jetsy had the pace, but he definitely left it late to make it into Q2. But Ken is going to start the race on the medium compound tyres, as that was his best lap time for him. And Money the Cheeks is, unfortunately for him, eliminated from Q2. Eliminated from qualifying, and will play no part in Q3. So I said the bubble was a 108.1. I ended up being a bit off. It was a 108.2, but still very close margin. So Jetsy takes fastest lap time in Q2 with a 107.6, only a couple hundreds ahead of Dirk with 107.7, Prince with a 107.7 in P3, VR Josh with a 107.9, closely followed by Javel, and then Harry and AJK 6 and 7, Prems in P8, Danilo and Ken, who start in the mediums, round out the top 10, and then Money to Cheeks, who's knocked out by a couple of hundred, starts 11th. Berger, who invalidated his final run, starts 12th. MW15 will start 13th for McLaren, and then Kona will round out the Q2 participants in P14. So not the ideal session for the Haas driver, but he can bounce back in the race. Of course, one of the most consistent drivers in picking up points here in Tier 2. So just have to wait and see how he does in the race, which of course is going to have a bit of race, we've been told by been picking up points. Sorry, what was I talking? I was talking about the weather. Yeah, we've been tipped by VR Josh, who's told us it's going to be a wet race. About 25 minutes in, rain is going to start falling here at Interlagos. So we'll have to see how accurate that is and how long that will take to arrive, as that could play a big part in the strategy. Maybe Ken will have the upper hand on the mediums. He could go all the way to the wet period, or it could catch him out terribly, as he has to make a pit stop just before the wet period. But we'll have to wait and see how it plays out in the race. but he will be the only driver in the top 10 starting on the medium compound tyres. So it's just habit, mate. I call you Josh, VR Josh, by habit, but yeah, I can call you Josh if you want. I'll try not to say the VR before it. The first driver to set a lap will be Harry for Aston Martin. He is the furthest driver on his lap, so let's ride on board with the Aston Martin for his first Q3 lap time. As Aston Martin now runs the line, it's going to be a 1:08.3 as the first lap time, so not very quick there compared to the Q2 times. That would have not been enough to get him into Q2, so definitely know there's a lot of improvement to be found out there on the track, but unfortunately Prem's and AJK, who might have been finding that improvement, have both invalidated, but I'm sure Prince will be the next to challenge, as he's been very quick so far during qualifying, and he does a 58 through the middle sector. Dirk on pole position, we'll have to wait and see. That is a very bold prediction, but it definitely could happen for the Ferrari. But Prince is going to try and make that not happen. He does a 1:07.3, a scorching lap time, but that's quickly beaten by Ken's 1:07.3, which is a couple hundreds quicker than Prince's. So the show is definitely on. As Jayville, I think, has backed off this lap, as he does. Oh no, he hasn't. He's done a 1:08.2, but took a very weird line through the final corner. Danilo is starting the lap time now for AlphaTauri. Looks like he got the Senna S's hooked up nicely. He's going to get, well, I would have said a bit of slipstream from Jetsy, but Jetsy didn't really give him any slipstream, as Dirk overtook Jetsy on the exit of the pit lane, and Prem's just improved to P4. I thought Jayville had improved, but he did already set his lap. I just wasn't paying attention. Can AJ cape himself into the top 5? Yes, he can. He goes 1:08.3. He does a 1:08.316, replacing his former Alpine teammate Harry in the top 10. In the top 5. But we have Jetsy and Dirk on outlaps. Of course, Ken, Jetsy, Dirk, and Prince are my favourites for pole at the moment. But we've seen a lot of upsets in Tier 2, of course, but let's see what Danilo can do for AlphaTauri. They need a strong result here, and he does a 1:07.8, which puts him into P3, about 5 tenths off his teammate at the moment, but still a very respectable lap time for him. Josh is the only driver who's not set a lap time yet. I think he doesn't have any fresh tyres left yet, so he's deciding to stay in the pit lane and wait until final run to go out. But the one thing that does is that it puts a lot of pressure on your final run. You've seen AJK, Prems, and Jayville all go for laps on worn tyres here, as you can see the tyre age. And it also gives you a delta going for a run on old tyres, but we'll have to see how VR Josh does. As Jabel's going to impede Dirk a bit, but he actually gets out of the way just before the Ferrari reaches him, as Dirk goes purple through sector 2, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. He's done a 51 something, and I'm pretty sure Prem's did a 50.7. So we have to see what the lap time is. He runs to the line. It's going to be 107.7. So yeah, a few tenths off like I predicted. And Jetsy does a 107.5. So after the first runs, it's Ken who's on provisional pole, and Prince is on an outlap. So he's going for a very early, either second run, or he's going to try fit 3 into this qualifying session, which will be quite ambitious from AlphaTauri. And like I predicted, Josh is only going for 1 run on this qualifying session because he only has 1 set, which is fair enough. Yeah, P3, now P4 unfortunately for Dirk. He's a very, very fast driver. Unfortunately, he started the season out well with winning the first race at Saudi Arabia, but unfortunately just didn't have the pace. Well, he has the pace, but he just didn't have the consistency to challenge with Dan Snyder and Prince, who are currently ahead of him in the Drivers' Championship. But Dan Snyder, who's already clinched the championship, got knocked out in Q1, but let's ride on board with his title rival, who can no longer win the title because of his DNF at Japan, Prince Clonte, who's purple through Sector 1. So good lap from AlphaTauri so far. I think he would be able to make it out for 3 runs in this qualified session, but it's going to be a bit of a stretch. But he's doing a very fast lap time at the moment, and he's a couple of hundredths up, purple through Sector 2, but it's not enough on the Delta. It wouldn't be enough to beat Ken. It's going to be very, very tight here between the Williams driver and the AlphaTauri, who actually decides to pull into the pit lane. So Gilly not happy with the final corner. Looked pretty clean, but maybe he just didn't find the lap time that needed to be gained. Looks like Dirk was going for another run, but he's also backed off as he's a couple attempts down. VR Josh is going for his lap now. Thank you for the follow, Mason HD. I hope you are enjoying the stream and will stick with us for the race, as it's going to be a very interesting 36 laps here, with the rain expected about halfway through the race. As VR Josh gone purple through Sector 1, but had a bit of understeer through Turn 4, so we'll see how that affects him as he finishes the rest of Sector 2 off. Everyone else is in the pit lane apart from Harry, who's also on a lap but is invalidated, and Jayville, who's on an outlap, and now AJ UK, who also joins the Mercedes on an outlap. So the drivers are starting to trickle out for their final runs, as they are just done 51-1 middle sector. So I think that would be enough for P4 at the moment, if he can keep it on the track for the final corners, which he does. And as he runs up to the line, let's see what the lap is going to be. It's going to be a 1:07.769, so that puts him ahead of Dirk and slots him into P4. I think that will be his only run of this qualifying session, due to that being his only set of tyres. So that's unfortunate for him, but that is the strategy involved with full qualifying. You have to manage your tyres through the first 3 sessions, or you won't have enough for the final session. But Jayville, he's definitely a man who could challenge for pole here, but he's made a mistake through the first few turns, and he's actually backed off already. So he's going to wait and go again. The top 7 all in the 107, so it's going to be at least a 107 for pole here. I could see, maybe if someone hooks the lap up, I could see someone doing a 106.9. It'd be one of the top 5 though. But Prince, I don't know, he's not pushing through Sector 1, so it looks like he's going for that 2-lap warm-up on the tyres. We saw it work for him in Q1, but I'm not quite sure if he'll even make the line here. He should make it though. But AJK has crashed with Jayville, and that is a 5 place grid penalty for the Alpine, and Jayville now is going to go on a lap as AJK has to pull into the pit lane. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there between the two drivers, but they made a collision. Harry, Prems and AJK will not improve on their lap times at the moment. Josh has invalidated to say he's not going to improve either. Prince is coming around the final corner. What can... Oh yeah, he's on a slow lap as he's actually 4 seconds down on his lap at the moment. What can Danilo do through sector 2 as he comes to the sector 2 split time? He's on an out lap. He's left it very late. I'm not sure if he'll make the line here. He's not going to make the line, so that's the end of Danilo's qualifying session. Unfortunately for him, he misjudged the timing, but Jetsy has gone purple through sector 2, but he's had a massive moment on the final corner, and surely that could dent his chance at pole position as he now runs up to the line. What's it going to be for Jetsy in the Alfa Romeo? Is going to be a 107.495, so that final corner cost him dear here. But Javille's going to be the next across the line, and shortly behind him it will be Ken. Javille improves with a 107.7. Ken goes on to does a 106.9. I called it. I said someone would do a 106.9 if they hooked up the lap time. Can Prince respond here for AlphaTauri, or is it going to be Ken on pole position yet again? Prince will be the only car left on track as everyone has finished their lap times or is in the pit lane. What can Prince do as he runs to the line? It's going to be a 107.327. It's not good enough for pole position, so Ken takes pole position with a 106.9. A fantastic lap from the Williams driver there, who takes pole position in this Q3 in this 3-stage qualifying session. Is Prince, who sits in P2 for AlphaTauri, about 3/10 off Ken, and then Jetsy, who we saw have that massive mistake on the final corner. He possibly could have stolen P2 off Prince, will start P3. Dirk will start P4 for Ferrari, good session for him. Jayville starts P5 for Mercedes, 6th for Josh, who fell off to Dirk and Jayville at the end of the session. Danilo starts 7th, Prem starts 8th, AJK starts 9th, and Harry starts 10th. Unfortunately for him. Mason HD, welcome to the stream, Mason. It's SLX F1 Lover streaming here, so hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far, as we're getting ready to go towards 5 red lights. Of course, everyone in the top 10 starting on the softs, apart from our pole sitter Ken, who managed to sneak in on the medium compound tires here. As welcome to the stream, Natty. I hope you are enjoying your evening, and hopefully you'll enjoy this race as well, as we're just waiting for the drivers to get ready so we can go racing. Of course, if you're new to F1, the top 10, all those who qualify in Q2 make it to Q3, they all have to start on the tyres they did their Q2 lap time on. So that means everyone in the top 10 apart from Ken will start on the softs, but everyone P11 downwards has a free choice of tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what everyone does with that free choice of tyres. It looks like if I could get the detail, it looks like Money to Cheeks has started on mediums, Burglar has also opted for the mediums, then Endo 15 Koenig-Kron have both opted for the soccer tyres. AJK, who we saw get that grid penalty, 5 positions for the collision with Jayville, starts P14. Dan Snyder starts 15th for Alfa Romeo on the mediums as well. Then it's Milk Streamer, who's gone for the softs. Adi Casper has interestingly gone for the hards, so he might be trying to go to the wet period, and might not think that the mediums will make it that far. The mediums should make it till the wets, but we'll have to wait and see. Then has Juanes at the back of the grid starting on the Stockholm tyres. So another thing is that these drivers who got knocked out in Q1, that's not Milkstream and Lee Casper, has Juanes, these guys are all going to be cold to start this race, whereas the guys who made it to the top 10 shootout have just literally been on track, so they're going to be nice and warmed up. Maybe the psychological games will come into effect, but Prince on the softer compound or tyre, let's see if he can get the better start than Ken and Jetsy and Dirk, of course, who in Singapore managed to jump Ken, who started on the hards then, interestingly, compared to Dirk's softs, so maybe he could get the jump again, have a monster start, go from P3, it was in Singapore, to P1, maybe he could go P4 to P1, who knows, but we're going to have to wait for Hezwanis, who will be the last car to line up in his grid slot before we can go racing for 36 laps of Brazil, as we go towards 5 red lights now. For the Brazilian Grand Prix, it's going to be Ken who leads us away. 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. It's a good start for Prince, and he's already up into P1 before they get to turn 1. Jesse's gone to the outside, Dirk has gone to the inside, and Ken has been absolutely swarmed on this first lap. He's dropped down to P5 already, and Jesse and Javo are side by side. There's a Ferrari off in the background. VR Josh is out of the session already. Prems has fallen down the order. He's had a collision as well, I presume, with VR Josh. Harry has moved himself up into P7, but the big news is the poor start for Ken, who's dropped to P5 already on this first lap. Jayville managed to get past Jetsy, but Jetsy actually made the move back on him around the outside, so unfortunately for Josh, he's out on lap 1, which is not what he would have wanted to hit. As Harry's going to go for a late move. Danilo sees it coming, covers it off, but then opens the door anyways, but defends nicely from the Aston Martin there, as Casper is he actually had a very good start from P17, made up a few positions on the drivers ahead, but now he's falling down the order again, as Coney Cron also didn't have a great start, neither did Milk Streamer or Prems, who we saw presumably involved in incident with VR Josh. Milk Streamers into the pit lane, so I presume he got damage from that incident as well. Is now MDO15 is all over the back of Prems as they head down towards turn 4. Can he make the move on the Red Bull driver, as there's a battle going on ahead between AJK and Mondo Cheeks? Mondo Cheeks nearly spinning AJK out, but fortunately both drivers end up facing the right way, and unfortunately for Josh, he got sandwiched and launched into the air, so that is not ideal for the Alpine driver. Hopefully he'll come back stronger next season, but that leaves us with 17 drivers here, and Prince has done well to get Dirk out of his DRS already on lap 2. I said to watch out for Dirk at the start, and he got a really good start. Ken just had so much wheel spin on that start that he just got sandwiched by everyone down towards turn 1. He had Jetsy around his outside, Jayville and Dirk on his inside, and he couldn't really do much, and now he's under pressure again from Danilo in the AlphaTauri. He's going to be looking for the move now on Ken as they head down towards turn 4, but he's going to save the ERS for now and stay behind, as here comes MW15 down the inside of Hezwanis, but Hezwanis covers it off nicely, and it's side by side between Konigron and Lee Casper. Konigron makes the move, and that's Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder has ran off the track, and Milk Stream has actually crashed. Has Dan Snyder got damage? He's driving very slowly, I'm not sure why. And Jetsy is round. Jetsy for Alfa Romeo is round, and he's round again. So this is disastrous for Alfa Romeo. They might be bottling the Constructors' Championship right here, right now. But Milky Streamer is out of the session. He's crashed. Dan Snyder had a moment out of turn 4-5. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. But Jesse has spun again. So this is disastrous for the Alfa Romeo driver. He just needs to compose himself. So now Money the Cheeks is going to go for the move around the outside of Harry in towards turn 1, and he makes it stick. AJK is defending from Haswanis, but is also having a bit of a look at Harry, his former teammates. MD15 has an awful exit. He's going to be under pressure from Burglar on the medias as they all head down towards turn 4. Looks like everyone's going to stick in position, but Burglar's going to go for the move now on MD15. He leaves the space on the outside. MD15 leaves the space as they now run up the hill. Who's going to get the move done? Looks like Burglar, as MD15 just has to back out, and Burglar makes the move up into the top 10. So a nice move for him right there. Harry has picked up a 3-second time penalty and becomes the first driver, I believe, to do so. Sorry, the second. Conan Cron has also got one. But now Danilo is all over the back of Ken. So it's like Ken isn't able to make these medium tyres work at the moment, as Prince and Dirk are just driving off into the distance. And Jabil doesn't look like he has the pace to stick with those two. But possibly Ken could go for the move here in towards turn 1, as Jabil defends the inside but then moves over come the brake zone, as they now exit the final few corners. What can Ken do here down the second straight here, as he gets DRS again? He's deploying the ERS and he's going to go for the move. Jabil's going to defend, but Ken sees it coming, slips down the inside and moves himself up into the top 3. P3 for the Williams driver now, but I presume Jabil and Danilo will stick behind nicely in the DRS, as the Snyder could be going for the move here on Conan Cron up the hill. But Conan Cron's car is too wide and that Slider can't make anything work. But Conan Cron does run a bit wide, so maybe that Slider could have a lunge into 8, but he thinks better of it and decides to stick behind for now. As now Prems is starting to gain back on. Oh, this is Wanis and AJK having a side-by-side moment here through the middle sector. That is something you don't see very often. And Swanis is going for it at the final corner and makes the move stick on AJK, and that's Burglar off in the distance for Ferrari. The Ferrari driver has spun and now falls down to P15. That is rather unfortunate, but AJK Haswanis has had a tap with Harry, who swiped late to try defend the position, but Haswanis has now lost some of his front wing, and Harry drives off into the distance. But now MD15 is all over the back of AJK as they head down towards turn 4. There's chaos at the moment in the midfield, but AJK holds his position, and that Slider gets the move done, switch back on Conan Cron, and will soon be overtaking Haswanis for P10, as the Red Bull has damage, and that's not what he would have wanted to hear. He's going to have to come in early. His presence is now within the DRS range of Elite Casper, so let's keep an eye on that battle. The Softs versus the Hards. The Softs will be starting to go off now, as the ideal pit lap time is like lap 16, I think, lap 14, 16, so they're going to start feeling the effects as Swanis has to pull in for the damaged front wing. But Danilo and Jabil are going to do battle here, as now they head down towards turn 4. Unfortunately for Jabil, he's already fallen under the DRS of Ken, and Edgy K is going to be under pressure from under 15, perhaps into towards turn 4. But the McLaren can't make anything work at the moment. Maybe Prems could attack Casper, but they're both out of the ERS, so towards turn 4 no one makes the move, and they're going to soon be under pressure from Burglar, who's closing in. And Prems and Elite Casper have had a massive incident, and Prems has lost all of his front wing as he ran into the back of Elite Casper. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he's lost all of his front wing in the McLaren, and now Burglar's within DRS range of Elite Casper. So let's see if the Ferrari can make the move up into the top 12 on a softer tyre compound than his rival, as MD15 gets overtaken by Dan Snyder. But keep an eye on the battle ahead between AJK and Harry, as AJK makes the move now in towards turn 1. They're going to go side by side through the first few turns. There's a bit of contact, but AJK just about stays in front, but Harry's going to have the run on him down towards turn 4. Doesn't have the DRS, and MW15 is also going to make a move on that slider down towards turn 4 around the outside. That slider holds on. Harry's ran very wide off track, but that slider holds position, and 3-second time penalty for Harry now in the Aston Martin, as the slider defended very nicely, and Berger has made the move up past Elite Casper, and Prams has had to box for the new wing and falls to P16 of 16 drivers. And interestingly, at the front, Prinz has managed to pull out of Dirk's DRS range, so that's not great for the Ferrari driver, but he will get back on the second straight. But we'll see how many laps he can cling on, as Javel and Danilo have a bit of a battle, but Javel makes a bit of contact, and there's a Red Bull off in sector 2, I believe. That is Zwanis, who's had a moment, as I think Javel just slowed down and he's weaving there on the straight to say sorry to Danilo, who he mistimed his braking on. But look at AJ UK, he's going to be under pressure from downslide and MW15, who've both managed to get past Harry on this lap, and Harry's now down to P10 and could be facing pressure from the Haas of Koenig Kron very soon. But Koenig Kron has just picked up another 3-second time penalty, so maybe he might not challenge Harry towards the end of this race. Let's have a look at the penalties so far. 3 seconds for MW15, 6 seconds for Harry, 6 seconds for Koenig Kron, and 3 seconds for Lee Casper. But this battle in the midfield is now getting very tasty, as AJK is going to be under pressure from Dan Snyder towards turn 1. MW15 is going to be tucked in right behind him. Don't forget about Harry there as well. MW15 is going to get into the slipstream of AJK down towards turn 1, and he's going to try and make the move, but Harry is actually going to go around the outside. Actually, Harry's mistimed his braking point and picks another 3-second time penalty up for his worries. But AJK gets a nice switch back on MW15, now moves himself back up into P8. So a nice move from the Alpine driver, as MW15's actually made the move back on him, so I presume AJK ran wide on the exit of turn 4. Didn't get the car slowed down as they exited the first sector, and Jetsy, who we haven't seen much of ever since his 2 spins, has picked up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. So at the moment, I'm just trying to have a look at the driver standings, as there's a yellow flag in sector 2, and that's for Koenig Kron, who's had a bit of a moment, and now he's going to be under pressure from Elite Casper maybe on the final few corners. But Dirk has managed to get himself back within the DRS comfortably of as Harry's out of the session. Harry has crashed, and that's a virtual safety car, so not a full safety car, but a virtual safety car. I don't know where Harry has crashed, as I can't see his dot on the map, but I presume in the pit lane. If that's the case, let's run on board with Juanis, who makes a very late decision to box there, just cutting across the pit lane line. I'm not sure, that's probably a penalty for the Red Bull, but MW15 has picked up a penalty. He's picked up 5 seconds for exceeding track limits. Sorry, not for speeding under VSC. As Danilo's had a massive moment. What's happened to Danilo? He's lost all of his wing now. He was going very slow, and then he just got clipped by Money to Cheeks, and now he's lost all of his wing here, and he's going to be under pressure from Dan Snyder in the Alfa Romeo, and this is not what AlphaTauri would have wanted at all, as Danilo now pulls into the pit lane for AlphaTauri, and MW15 follows him in to serve his drive-through. Prinz here is still under pressure a bit from Dirk, but Ken is starting to close the gap now on those two in front, and it's starting to become a bit overcast, so the rain is on the way here in this race and could be hitting any minute now, as at the moment AlphaTauri are scoring 25 points and Alfa Romeo are scoring 9 points, so this isn't enough from AlphaTauri to win the Constructors' Championship at the moment. So Danilo is going to need to pull up his socks, and they're going to have to hope for a bit of Alpha misfortune as they head towards the final few laps of this race. But still a long way to go here in Brazil. We've only just reached last lap was only a third way of the race completed, but Dirk is getting ever closer to the AlphaTauri of Prince, and I wonder if Prince is starting to struggle now in that AlphaTauri here. But Dan Snyder is definitely not struggling as he's closing in on Money the Cheeks in front, and these guys, the medium tyre runners, Money the Cheeks, Dan Snyder, Berger, they're all going to the wet period, but so could these guys on the softs. They could be going till the wet period as well. We just don't know how close that is. The MW15 is into the pit lane for new softs, so he's going to go aggressive until the wet period. And Danilo, of course, we saw him have that moment on safety car restart, the VSC restart, and now he's fallen down to P12 onto new 7 mediums. Ejo UK also boxed under the VSC, I believe. No, he boxed and then the VSC was called out, so he's now up into P11. Jetsy is running P10 on those 12 lap old softs, so he's going to be under pressure from Ejo UK soon. And Lee Casper is starting to close in on Koenig Kron as the Hassis tyres are starting to struggle. But as Wine sets fast lap with a 109.6, the bad news for him is that he's currently lapped at the moment by the top guys, but they're only over here and they're actually doing battle here through sector 1. It looks like Prince got under pressure from Dirk, but Dirk just couldn't make the move. But I don't think Hezwanis has been lapped. I think that might just be a glitch in the game, as the rain is starting to fall. So the rain has started to fall here in Brazil, you can see it, and AGK is instantly out of the session. He's crashed. Prince stays out. It's a full safety car, so so are people going to gamble onto the inters? The top 3 have not. They've all stayed out. If this rain stays out long enough for the inters to be the better tyre and someone pits now, Javille's going to take the risk. He's boxing, but that could be for new slicks. Everyone from Berger runs into the back of Dan Snyder into pit lane and has gotten damage for his troubles. But Javille's gone for the inters, so it looks like everyone's boxed for the inters apart from the top 3 have all stayed out. Dan Snyder's gone for the softs, interestingly, so split of strategy. So Javille inters, Money the Cheeks has gone for the hard compound tyres, which is a very interesting decision from the Williams. Dan Snyder's gone for the softs. Berger's gone for the inters. Koenig Kron's also gone for the inters. Jetsy has gone for the mediums. Danilo, let's see what he's going to do here. He's going to put on the inters as well. So MW15 stayed out. Prems has stayed out and has won it into the pit lane. So a split of strategy so far between the between the dry tyres and the inters, and it's a very interesting mix of tyres. You've got some guys in 14 lap old softs, some guys in 14 lap old medium, some guys on 14 lap old hards, some guys on fresh inters, some guys on fresh hards, some guys on fresh softs, and some guys on fresh medium compound tyres. So at the moment every compound is equipped, but Berger has spun on the inters, so maybe the track isn't ready for inters just yet. Luckily he managed to get back on track before he loses any positions. Koenig Kron, I believe, has also spun as Jetsy and MW15 have gotten past, so maybe the track is not ready for inters yet. But Ken is into the pit lane for the Inter compound tyres now, but he's lost out to Mind the Cheeks, MW15 and Javel. But all these guys, look, Javel doesn't have the pace at the moment on the Inters. He's getting harried by Mind the Cheeks and Dan Snyder, who are trying to keep temperature in their tyres despite so it looks like at the moment the dries are still the better tyre, but that could change. So it's going to be very interesting. Danilo sped into the pit lane, and looks like he's had enough of the Inters as he's come straight back in for the soccer and tyres. So he doesn't think the track is ready for the Inters at the moment, as Wannis has gone for the Inters as well. But look, all these guys on the Inters are so much slower than the guys on the dry tyres. Look how much Jetsy and MW15 are getting held up by Berger here in the Ferrari. In the Ferrari, who's on the intermediate compound tyres. So it doesn't look like the Inters are the tyre to be on at the moment. But if it starts raining heavier, this could definitely play into the guys on the Inter's hands. But if it doesn't, then it could be race deciding. This is very crucial period in the race, and AJK spiced up by instantly crashing as soon as the rain came out, which has caused this very interesting dynamic down the grid under this safety car. But we're gonna have to wait a couple of laps for the safety car to come in, as Swanis will take quite a while to catch up to the pack. But if you somehow been living under a rock and not been tuning into these tier 2 streams, Dan Snyder was crowned tier 2 champion last week in Japan after finishing in P2 and championship rival Prince Conte crashing out. So it was all joy down at Avatari, but Dirk finished. So Prince still P2 in the championship, and Dirk is currently P3 in the championship. And Avatari still have the chance to win the Constructors Championship today, but it's going to take a monumental effort. This Cunningham is in for the medium compound tyres, so he doesn't think the track is ready for Inters yet either. So Danilo and Cunningham are the two drivers who don't think the track is ready for Inters, which is interesting, as a lot of other drivers. But look how much Cunningham is closing in on Haswanis, who's on the Inters and just doesn't have any pace, and the safety cars in this lap. So all these guys on the Inters can now not make up their mind. They have to stick to this strategy, and it's not any better for Prince or Dirk, because they're both on 16 lap old softs here, and they're both going to have to box again. So no one here is in an ideal situation at the moment. But Money the Cheeks has actually gone past Jabel. Jabel's gone straight into the pit lane. He knows it's not the right tyre to be on. He knows those Inters aren't going to work at all. And Ken, let's see how his progress. Berger's dropping down the order here. He has no pace on the mediums, on the Inters. Neither does Ken, who's starting to drop down the field. It's going to be 3 wide in towards turn 4. MW15 has to back out, otherwise contact will be made. But Ken is dropping down the field, and so is Bergler. And Haswanis has no pace either, so he's going to get overtaken by Cunningham in towards turn 4 here. So it looks like the people who've gone for the Inters gamble, it's not paid off at all at the moment. But Dan Snyder, Jetsy, is going to have a look on Elite Casper. He's on 17 lap old hard, so he's not in a good situation either. But neither of these guys on 17 lap old softs. They probably should have boxed for the mediums. They're going to find it very hard to find any pace here. Let's look how quick Dan Snyder is on the fresh softs already. He's all over the back of Dirk, and he's going to be overtaking the Ferrari drive before they even get down towards turn 1. But Dirk is going to fight it on the outside, but he just has to yield positions. Now Jetsy gets past Lee Casper in towards turn 1, and Prems gets past Ken, who's now struggling and falling down the order. But him and Bergler are staying persistent and staying out on these inters, as Elite Classifiers at the moment out of turn 1 is now dropped to P8 in this race, as Danilo goes right round the outside of Ken, who just has no grip on the inters at the moment. So Ken and Berger made the wrong decision, so has Juanes. Not quite sure why neither of them have boxed yet, but it's in no world more ideal for the leaders at the moment, especially Prince and Dirk, who are now falling down the order. And Jetsy is round. Jetsy is spun round, so that is not great for the Alfa Romeo driver. Luckily for him, he only lost the 1 position to MDO 15. That's still going to cost him a bunch of time as they now come towards the end of lap 19 and towards the start of lap 20. That start is going to be attacking Prince with everything he's got in towards turn 1. DRS enabled, so it shows it is the time for the dry tyres as Prince goes way too deep. That start is going to get the switch back, but there's contact and Prince is round. And P1 and P2 in the championship have made contact here in Brazil. And Prince is... Oh, Jetsy spins off right in front of him. And now Jetsy is also around. So Prince has dropped to P6 and Jetsy has fallen into P10. And that was a very weird incident, seeing Jetsy spin right in front of Prince. Sorry. If ghosting had not been on, both of them probably would have been out of the session. But at the moment, it looks like these guys who stayed out on the on the softs, the 90 lap of softs, it's not paying off for them at the moment, as Maya de Cheeks is even closing in on Dirk, who's on those 20 lap old softs, sorry. So even though he's on the hard compound tyres, his tyres are still fast at the moment, as they're only 4 laps old. But Dirk is staying out for quite a while here. That start is just stretching his lead at the moment. He has to be careful though to try and make those tyres go to the end. Are Ken or Bergler going to come into the pit lane? No, they're staying out, so they're committing to staying out on the inters here, even though it's definitely not working for either of them. But Bergler is going to possibly get overtaken by Koenig down towards turn 1. Yes, Koenig is going to make the move, but look at this, Jetsy and Javel going at it as well. Jetsy makes the move on the Mercedes, who now attacks him back on the exit of 3, and Jetsy gets cornered off. He gets blocked off by the slow Berger, and he tried to make the move, and unfortunately he made contact with Javel. This Koenig was very wide out of turn 4, now drops down to P11, getting re-overtaken by Berger. I don't think anyone was at fault for the Berger, Jetsy and Javel incident. Just Berger just doesn't have the grip at the moment, and Jetsy got kind of cornered off and tried to make a move to the outside, which was never going to work, unfortunately for him. So now he's falling down to P12, and Koenig is round again, and that's MDO 15. No, it's Dirk, sorry, into the pit lane. It looks like Koenig's really struggling here, as the rain the rain is starting to pick up. The rain is picking up here, and Dirk's in for the inter. So, is this a strategical masterclass from as Juanes is out of the session? Juanes has crashed. Wait, no, he hasn't. Juanes is retired manually on track, so I'm not quite sure why he's done that. That's probably a penalty, but this could be a strategical masterclass from Ken and Ken and who was the other inter? Oh, the other inter-tire runner was Juanes, but he's now crashed. Bergler was on inters as well, but he's actually just switched them off for a set of the soft. So I'm not quite sure which is the quicker tire at the moment, the slicks or the inters. I guess we're gonna have to wait for the notification to come up at the top. But a few laps ago, it looks like the slicks were faster, but now it looks like it's kind of equalized between the between the slicks and the intermediate compound tires. But Jabil was closing quite rapidly on Ken, so maybe it is still too dry for the wet compound tires, as Jabil makes an easy move around the outside of Ken, who's now given up and has decided to box anyway. So a bit of a wasted stint there for the for the Williams driver there. But Prince on this 22 lap softs is still making moves. Is still doing battles. He tries to go down the inside of Prems. They're going to go side by side as they head up towards turn 6. Around the outside, can Prince make it work on the McLaren? No, he can't. He just has to stick behind as Prems goes very defensive into the next turn. As Bergler picks up a 3-second time penalty in the Ferrari, and it looks like, as Königklund is round on the exit of turn 5, and it looks like, the inters are not working, and it looks like Dirk did not get the memo as he walks onto the set of the inters, which is clearly not working out for him at the moment, and Königklund now falls down to P12, so that is rather unfortunate for him in his pursuit of points. But here comes Prince down towards turn 1. Surely he's got the move done this time, and yes, he has, before they even get towards the braking zone. But Dan Snyder is stretching his lead out front, leading by now 8 seconds to Endo 15, who's under pressure himself from Money the Cheeks on the hard compound tyres. And Money the Cheeks having a really underrated drive on the hards at the moment. He's doing really, really well to stick with Endo 15. And Lee Casper and Königklund are doing battles. Königklund, I believe, has gone off again, and Dirk has given up on the intermediate compound tyres and has boxed for a new set of the mediums, so he will fall to P11 behind his teammate and Ken and Jetsy and everyone else who tried the intermediate tyre strategy, which is clearly not paying off here today. But Mind the Cheats and MD15 is the closest on-track battle at the moment, but it looks like the Williams has just lost a bit of pace. MD15's into the pit lane, so MD15 is not going to try stretch those soft 21 laps like Prince and Jetsy. Well, Prince has gone for 23 laps now, so this amazing stint from the AlphaTauri. I wonder when he's going to actually box, but MW15 does want to follow their same strategy, so he's actually boxed for a set of the mediums on lap 25 of 36 here in the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's see how he navigates the pit lane exit. It's very slippery. He has to make sure that he does not crash on exit, but he gets it the exit nicely. And his teammate Prems is also in for McLaren, so McLaren executing the double stop here in Brazil, but Hezwan has left the session. That is an AlphaTauri going slow. Is that Prince? Has Prince got a puncture? I think Prince might have a puncture here. He's driving very slow, or he's just losing a lot of time here. He's very treacherous out there. No one's really driving that fast. Oh no, MD15 has had a massive moment. He's dropped from P2. Oh no, MD15 boxed for new tyres. What am I on about? But Prince is losing so much time to his teammate, and MD15 is getting a lot of time. It doesn't look like he has a puncture though, but MW15 is going to go easily around the outside of Prince, so maybe Prince is in punch territory as MW15 does a beautiful switchback on the AlphaTauri. He's now lost it through turn 2, so those 25 lap old softs are giving him no grip, and he should have come in earlier as these tyres are now definitely at the end of their life. And Javel himself has had a moment on the exit of the Senate S's, and he's lost some time himself. But let's see if Dan Snyder is going to box like MD15 did for new tyres. But Dan Snyder's had a dominating drive so far after the safety car restart, and the tier 2 champion is really showing his muscles off here in the rain at Brazil. But Ken is all over the back of Jetsy here. I mean, this is a very interesting battle between two very fast drivers here in tier 2. but Ken does have the tyre advantage, but they've also got to be wary of Burglar behind them, who is on the soft compound tyres. So this is going to be an interesting three-way battle over the next few laps, as Ken has a bit of a moment on the exit of that corner, but Ken just zero traction out of the final corner, but Jetsy has zero traction as well. As both of them just sliding all over the place. Looks like Ken is going to go for the move on Jetsy down towards turn 1, as Burglar is going to be opportunistic and try for the move on Jetsy as well. Burglar is going to get the move done, I think, in towards turn 1. Yes, he does. Nice move from the Ferrari. Now he might have the pace to overtake Ken here as they head down the straight. Can he make the move on the Williams driver? No, he can't. He just has to stick behind on this lap, as that started now. His gap at the front 18.6 seconds. Prince has boxed for new tyres, and he's now down to P11, so he's going to have to make a huge comeback. But only about 1.3 up the road is P3 in the championship, Dirk. So we're going to see P2 versus P3 battle here in the closing laps of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Elite Casper and Koenigsegg, fair play to them. They're still trying the intermediate compound tyre strategy, but it doesn't look like it's working out at the moment for either driver, as Ken now is going to be under pressure from Burglar, as Burglar has a massive moment. He's actually lost it, and he's going to have to come into the pit lane for a new wing. Burglar was just pushing too hard. He could have made the move, but he just pushed too hard through the final corner, and unfortunately for him, or the final bend, unfortunately for him, he lost the rear end and lost his front wing, as Prince gets very close and personal to the back end of Dirk as they now come through turn 1. Prince has all the pace at the moment on Dirk. Dirk goes defensive, and Prince didn't expect Dirk to defend that as aggressively, didn't move out to the right, and Prems is all over the place in front of these guys, and he's really holding up Dirk, as Dirk's going to go for the move around the outside of the McLaren. They're just going to ride on board with Prince as they're all understeering off the track. Prems and Dirk side by side, but Dirk has been forced wide, and now Prince is going to look for the move on the outside. But Dirk going for the switchback on Prems, but he just has a moment on the exit, and he's also into the wall, and like his Ferrari teammate, he has lost the whole of his front wing, and he's going to have to come into the pit lane as well. But Prince now is all over the back of Prems, who has been struggling for quite a few laps on his mediums, and makes the move done before they even get to the DRS detection zone. But Prems is going to fight this back down the straight. He's going to have DRS and ERS as they head down towards turn 1, and he's going to get the move done on Prince. So that's going to be quite frustrating for the Dutch driver, who currently sits P2 in the championship, but he should get the move done down towards turn 4, as Dirk picks up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately for him. So couldn't get slowed down with a lack of front wing, and Prems forces Prince left, but Prince is going to go aggressive down the inside and makes the move up into P8, and that's a 3-second time penalty for Jetsy. Let's have a look at the penalty. So 5 seconds for Danilo, who's currently in P3, 6 seconds for Endo15 in P4, and then 9 seconds for Jetsy, who currently sits P7, 12 for Elite Casper on the Inter still, 3 seconds for Berger, 5 seconds for Dirk, and 9 for Koenigsegg. So not ideal for those drivers who have a penalty at the moment, and Berger will be looking to make the move on Elite Casper, who's still on these intermediate tyres despite the lack of pace, and he just actually gets out of the way of Berger. He knows it's not his fight, and respectfully gets out of the way of the Ferrari. So at the moment, no real battles out on track. Dan Snyder's just stretching his advantage at the front. It's now 24 seconds. Koenigsegg is at the moment at the back for Haas, and Elite Casper's now giving up on the intermediate compound tyres, and he's coming into the pit lane for the softs, and he now pits to go to the end of the race on the sub-compound tyres, and Conan Cron is the only driver left on the intermediate tyre experiment, as Money the Cheeks picks up a 3-second time penalty, and any chance of him winning this race is now completely erased. But you can still get a very nice P2 finish, which I'm sure would lighten the spirit at Williams, as Ken has not had the best race himself, normally the leading Williams of course, but not tonight, as he's just struggled, and Prince has struggled as well, and so is Jetsy. All these guys have, all these fast guys that we normally expect to see right at the top, Jetsy, Prince, Ken, Dirk, they've all struggled, apart from the tier 2 champion, who's showing why he's champion and is just having an amazing race at the moment, as Bergler now makes the move on Prems, who's not quite sure what's happened to him, but he has no pace or confidence. But the rain has stopped, and Conan Clont is just boxed onto a new set of the Inters, so he's going to be into the pit lane for dry compound tyres. But that was a very interesting dynamic caused by the safety car. It looked like the Sauce would be the better, the Inters would be the better tyre for a bit, but then before we even got racing, it looked like the sticks were better, and they did prove to be better on the safety car restart, and then that was proven by the soft compound tyres pulling away. And then there's a brief moment where the rain picked up, and you might have thought that the intercompound tyres, the inter tyres would have been the better tyre, but that didn't prove to be the case, and Conan Cron lost his front wing on Inter, so he's going to be into the pit lane again down at Haas F1 team, as he's going to be lapped by Money the Cheeks now. He's having a much better race, and now Daz Died is into the pit lane for Alfa Romeo, so he should come out in front of Money the Cheeks, and he will have that 3-second time penalty cushion, which Money the Cheeks, unfortunately for him, picked up, as Daz Died is exiting the pit lane now, and Money the Cheeks is not even at turn 1, so he's going to be easily in front of the Williams as they head down towards turn 4, and the gap is about 5 seconds, so looks like Dan Snyder has this one in the bag. For Brazil, as the gap's now 4.5 actually, so but that gap will be growing. But Ken now is managed to work himself into the DRS range of the Mercedes of Jayville, and will now be looking for the move to move himself up into P5. Neither of his drivers have penalties, so this battle will not be decided by any penalties here. But at the moment, most drivers are running in a world of their own. No battles here on track apart from this one between Jayville and Ken, and Ken's going to go for the move here before they get anywhere near the DRS range, the DRS zone, and he moves himself up into P4. And just looking at this, Ken has 6 seconds, MD15 has 6 seconds, as Stan Snyder picks up the second time penalty. So MD15 has 6 seconds, and Ken has no penalty. So if Ken can get within 6 seconds, he's around 6.8 right now. He will get himself up into top 4, but Jayville's not going to make it easy for him, as Jayville's going to fight back at the Williams, who made the move on him a few laps before. There's a bit of contact down towards turn 1, but now Ken's going to have the run down towards turn 4. He's going to go to the inside and should make this move done easily before the brake zone, and yes, he does, keeps it within track limits, and a nice simple move there, as now Prince is closing in rapidly on Jetsy. The gap was about like 12 seconds a few laps ago, and now the gap is 1.7. So great pace from the AlphaTauri, who's now put himself into contention of a top 7 finish, as Dashneider does the fastest lap of 109.2. He's rounding off the season in style here, and no one's been able to touch him at the moment. But he's onto the penultimate lap of this race. Ken has managed to pull away from Jables DRS already. There's going to be a battle here for P7 between Jetsy and Prince Colante. These two do not have the greatest relationship. Of course, if you were tuning in to qualifying last race, you would have seen that these two actually collided in qualifying, ruining both of their final runs as Prince gets very close to the rear end of Jetsy through turn 1. But can you make the move down towards turn 4? These guys have not been the cleanest with each other, but hopefully they can be clean here as Jetsy moves to the inside a bit. Prince is going to send it to the inside though, and Jetsy just has to back out, and now Prince leads this Brazilian Grand Prix, and Jetsy has to stick behind now and falls down to P8 unfortunately for him, and he has a very fast approaching Bergler only a few seconds behind, and 3-second time penalty for Dirk there at the back, and Bergler will jump Jetsy as well, as the gap is only 2.7 between them, and Jetsy has 6 seconds of penalties. But unfortunately for Dirk, he's not going to score any points in this race. Neither is Elite Casper or Koenig Kron, unless someone crashes, but either way Koenig Kron will still not score any points, as he's been lapped by more than half of the field. Only Dirk and Elite Casper have not lapped him, and Prince Colante has been disqualified. Oh no, Prince Colante, he went from the soft compound tire to the soft compound tire, and I just realized that, and it seems like he just realized that, and he completely forgot to use 2 set of tires, and he's been disqualified from this race. But while one championship contender shrivels, the other crosses the line to win the final race of season 2 and put himself in the history books, in the Hall of Fame. Made the cheeks with a very respectable P2 drive for Williams, doing a 21 lap stint on the hards. It'll be Danilo who crosses the line next for AlphaTauri. P3 Alfa Romeo will be the Constructors Champions. MW15 crosses the line in P4. Then it's Ken in 5th for Williams. He actually moves up to 4th, so a very good finish for Williams at the end. P2 and P4, Jayville finishes in P6. Jetsy is going to be on the push from Bergler to the line, but I think Bergler will not be close enough, and Jetsy finishes in front, but actually he finishes behind because of his penalties, and Bergler also picked up the fastest lap on the final lap. Prems finishes P9, and Dirk will get a point because of Prince's disqualification, and Casper 11th, Koenig 12th, and Dirk rounds out the top 10 to finish off season 2 in year 2. Finish season 2 in tier 2. Is Danilo year 11? I have no idea, mate. I couldn't tell you if he is year 11. I'm not sure, you'll have to ask him yourself. But there's the race winner, Dashneider, who picks up another win in this season and wins the Constructors Championship for Alfa Romeo, as Jetsy leaves the session. Him and Dashneider had a great season together, and they've won the tier 2 Drivers Championship with Dashneider and tier 2 Constructors Championship with Dashneider and Jetsy both. But running you through the final positions, final standings of the final race. Dashneider finished P1, coming from P15, so after being knocked out in Q1, an amazing drive from Alfa Romeo to finish up in P1. Great comeback, made up 14 positions. Also mind the cheats, great comeback from P10 to P2. for the Williams driver, knocked down Q2, made it into the top 3. Danilo finished P3 from P7. He'll be happy with that. Ken would not be happy with this result, finishing P4 after taking pole position. MDO15 climbs from 12th to 5th. Javel finishes 6th for Mercedes. Berger finishes 7th. Jetsi 8th for Alfa Romeo. Prem's in P9 for McLaren. 10th is Dirk for Ferrari. And then Casper Konigron 11th and 12th. Has one is AJK, Harry, Milky Streamer, who's the other? Milky Streamer, VR Josh, and Prince Conte, of course. Well, VR Josh were all the DNFs, and then Prince Conte got disqualified from the session. So, I've been SLX F1 lover. Thank you for tuning in the whole season, and that is the end of the tier 2 season. So I'll catch you here for the next season of racing, where all these drivers will do duel again. But congratulations, huge congratulations to Dan Snyder and Alfa Romeo, who've won the drivers and constructors championships, and big thank you to all the drivers that consistently race in this league and turned up week after week. They put an amazing show, and I can't wait to see what the next season holds. But I've been SLX F1 Lover, streaming the tier 2 finale, and I'll catch you all next season for round 1.